why are people looking at customer experience and how they should be looking at it, and kind of what we look at as the four kind of compelling reasons for doing customer experience. And we'll look at some real success stories. I've said Q&A, we likely won't have time for that, but we are in the booth right outside if anyone wants to talk to us afterwards. We're more than happy to talk to you. So for those of you in the room who do not know ZenDesk, this is a little bit about us. So headquartered in San Francisco. We were founded in Copenhagen, Denmark, roughly 10 years ago right now. We are in over 167 countries with over 101,000 customers. Our customers are then processing around 1 billion transactions in a year, that being the conversations they're having with their customers. Some of our customers from within the region and global customers across the bottom there as well. And we'll touch on a bit about that later. So customer experience, why customer experience? Why are we looking at it? And that's with revenue growth of people who are leaders in the customer experience space is up to 5.1 times. Customers are 4.5 times likely to pay a premium price when they're getting great customer experiences, and 2.7 times the operating margin for anybody with the engaged employees. So we'll talk a bit later about kind of where we see people fitting in there as well. And that's something that I feel very strongly about, having come from a customer service background myself and being one of those people in customer service who are often forgotten. 84% of companies want to have or be a CX leader, but only about 1 out of 5 actually delivers what is considered to be a good customer experience. And the fact that you're all in this room right now, you represent that 84%. You are those people who want to achieve something in customer experience and be a leader in customer experience. But it really is, it's a big battle to make. It's something really hard that we all have to work towards, and you have to get a lot of buy-in from a lot of people. So reasons why customer experience has become such a hot topic and something that really people are working on. With the age of digital disruption and the things that are changing and the way that people can look at data, the way that businesses are being changed. We've got Grab in the room here, a good customer of ours, disrupting the transport industry. So they're changing how people can book taxis, book cars, make deliveries. There's so much that's changing that they're having to change, and lots of other traditional companies, like some others of you in the room, are having to adjust to be online with, at par with, when people are already expecting a different level of customer experience. Also, customer loyalty can change so fast. The fact that you can pick up your phone and move from one e-commerce store to another very quickly, your loyalty can change very fast. You have a poor experience on one website and you'll easily switch to another very fast and within the click of a second. And the loyalty doesn't really hold anymore. You don't always go to your favorite corner shop to buy the same thing all the time now. Some companies that you will have all been customers of at some point have done some real changes to their customer experience journeys. These are some of our customers who are using ZenDesk in more than just their customer service. So these are people who use ZenDesk throughout the organization to manage their facilities, really think about the customer experience internally for their internal customers, as well as their external customers in the traditional sense of customer service. So who are the winners, who are the losers in a customer experience journey? What we believe at ZenDesk is that relationships are complicated. That could be anything from you and your wife, to your partner, to your boss, to your employee, but also as a business, your relationship with your customer is super complicated. And it's only getting more and more and more complicated as technology changes throughout the time as well. So we kind of broke that down. That's kind of what we think of at ZenDesk. And so we kind of go, well, what does that mean? And how do we address that? And what do organizations need? So organizations are looking for loyalty. They're looking for your customers to trust you. And you're looking for those customers to talk about how good you are in the simplest of forms. And customers want you to respond to them. They want to understand what's going on, and they want to feel empowered by the use of your brand and by working with you. The sad thing is, a customer service interaction is 4 times more likely to actually drive disloyalty than loyalty, because we're not addressing things perfectly there in that way. And so we're trying to fit right in the middle of that, and we're trying to give a solution that isn't just business focused, but it's also your end user customer focused as well. We also believe that what we have is easy to implement. It's in a modern kind of tech stack. We have data in the right places for you to be able to analyze that and have a look at what we're doing. And we try to make our people feel like people you want to work with on a daily basis. And for those customers in the room, I hope you can attest to that. Tell everybody about that for us. So it's not just about simplifying the complicated relationship, it's just about making that relationship better. So it's not just about handling the relationship, it's also just about improving that relationship as well. About 12 months ago, we moved to a truly multi-product platform, and we have now broken out from what just used to be ZenDesk and Zopin. Chat, the product that we acquired here a couple of years ago, has now become ZenDesk Support, Chat, Help Center, Talk, and we have a multi-product solution now to deal with different scenarios. So I'm going to move into the 4 elements of what it is to create a compelling customer experience. We're going to go through each of these. I think some of these have been touched on already, but we're looking at strategy, technology, process, and people, and what that can mean, and what we need to look at in reference to your tools and your people to address these items that we're looking at here. So the best practice framework for customer service, having a look at the different stages and how they relate to each other, and if one part is broken, where that goes back to. So if strategy is not set up, you can't build your process if you don't have a good strategy. But you also need the technology to support that process, and of course the people then to work with those as well. So for strategy, it's not just about someone in the C-level going, this is what we're going to achieve as a business, go and make it happen, and walking away. You know, it's not, you need to be involved in all elements of where you're working for, and you need to work out what customer service is for customer experience, and how those work together. I meet a lot of people at events like this who were either customer service people who have now been told you're in charge of customer experience, or they're product people who now suddenly realize they're working in customer experience, which makes them feel like customer service, but they're a bit confused about where they are in that scenario. And so they're now building out that strategy. So it's good to get someone who has the balance between those 2 roles, working in this customer experience way, to be able to build out the strategy. So designing customer service experiences in line with the company's overall goals is super important. When I visited Zalora, their office, they have this huge wall of their customer journey and what that means. And it's literally like runs around the side of their office, and they've got post-it notes everywhere, looking at how that customer journey works. And making sure that you then deliver on those expectations of what you're marking as points that they contact you. And then also having the right metrics, just addressing a channel and going, okay, we have chat because people want chat. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're then doing that right. So are you doing it right when you then implement that? And from a process perspective, making sure that the process is not just business aligned, but also aligned for the people who are doing that. So who are the people issuing your customer service? Who's managing customer service? Who are your frontliners, and how does the process relate to them? And are we supporting the interactions in the right channels in the right way? Just saying that someone is an email, move to email to chat, do you deal with chat in the same way you deal with email? You expect a different kind of response there. So making sure that you have the right order of case management, making sure that the desktop that agents use is a great agent desktop that they enjoy using, and they have access to a knowledge base so they don't constantly have to be raising their hand and dealing with things. So they're aware of the processes and policies in place that need to be used to support your business. And then of course, workforce optimization, knowing where people are, when they're there, and what they're doing is super important, and something that you need to have visibility over as well. And so redesigning that is something that sometimes you need to take a step back from, even if you've been running a customer service organization for so long. It's something you often have to step away from and have someone else look at it for you. So nowadays, customers really do use a breadth of communication channels. They're in very many different places. They use them at different touch points in their journey. If they've placed an order already and they did that online, they might be jumping into a different channel to follow up on the fact that their delivery is late. It might be chat because they see that they can do that quickly. Chat has a different experience for everybody nowadays. But they also don't want to, when they go to that, have to tell them, oh, this is my order number. Back in the day, it was fine to call up and be told, what's your account number? And you have to go rustling through pieces of paper and finding that, and you can't find it. And we've all been on the wrong end of that phone conversation, and it always goes wrong. So it's about having that information, and that's truly what omni-channel is. Omni-channel is same experience. Multi-channel is, it could be different experiences, but at least you're getting in different cases. So be careful when you say you're omni-channel, unless you truly are omni-channel. And that's a very difficult thing to be in. 89% of customers agree that they want consistent customer experience in every channel they go to. Of course, I mean, that really, you think about it, you'd expect to have that 100% of the time. That when you contact a customer via Facebook Messenger, they know who you are, so they should be able to tell you the same information that if you called, you get the same message there as well. And 60% of us change your contact based on what you're doing. I think that's probably higher. I contact through so many channels sometimes, and if your internet goes down, you go everywhere. You go Twitter, Facebook, email, phone call, you do all of them until you get a response. We're also, people of us in customer experience and customer service, I think we're some of the best customers, but I think we can also be some of the worst customers for our colleagues in the other organizations as well, because we have different expectations. So I speak about being where your customers are, but it's also be aware of how things are shifting. These are numbers for Southeast Asia specifically, and it's about where people are moving. So where are the people between this age and where do they want to be? And we've had customers in region tell us, no, self-service does not work in Southeast Asia. No one will use our self-service portal. But if you guys could raise your hand in this room and tell me how many of you Google something before you call customer service? How many of you do that? So you would all use customer service, self-service portal, right? So if we came to you and said build a self-service portal, you'd say no, it doesn't work. But you all just proved it does, because you looked for it. And if you found that answer, you wouldn't call. Maybe you still would. But yes, we do also have organizations who say, yes, but in Southeast Asia, someone will send an email, and then they'll call us to say, did you get my email? They do, right? Has anybody in this room done that? Do you want to raise your hand and shake? I have. It does happen. So it's about knowing where they are, but also knowing where they are. So it's not, when you're building your customer roadmap and journey, don't just look at, we are this sort of company, therefore, because we're a modern type of company, we should only have modern channels. No phone calls. Let's not have a phone number anymore. Bad idea. Don't do it. They will find a way, and they will call you. So just making sure you are where your age group are, who are your customers and how old are they, and having all access to all that information. So they do want to engage with you. This is numbers over the last year based on our benchmark reports, where people are coming from. Of course, 95% of people will use the phone. The phone isn't going to go away, but it is going to change, and people are shifting to more channels. 83% of people using self-service, that's really high. And it's something that we need to be aware of. Messaging and SMS, we are addressing that. Email, chat, and social, it's all places we've been. For social, it's generally more of the angry side. It's often just a kind of, I'm just saying bad things to make you feel bad. Maybe you'll listen to me, and then you reply. And when you reply to people, sometimes they get surprised when you reply on social media, because they don't expect it. But also, and I'll speak about it in a second, having social media because that's what you do as a business, make sure you actually respond to people if they do that. There's nothing worse than looking at a Twitter feed for a customer and all you see is people tweeting them, but no response. So, be careful. So, implementing omnichannel. Look how long this list is. When people say, I want to be omnichannel, I'm like, okay, are you ready? Because omnichannel means same experience everywhere you go. And you need to be available in all those channels. And so from a staffing perspective, an understanding perspective, that's bigger. What are you looking at? What is your strategy? So it goes back to strategy again. Why are we doing that? If you're having the phone as an option, where are you putting phone in that journey? Is it the first point of contact you put in, or is it somewhere later? And then also, how are you going to measure all of these things and then hold different KPIs? You can't just have the same KPI for every single channel that you are part of. And so it's about making sure that you have the capability to address all the channels you need to be in before you can start implementing these channels as well. So I want to go through a very, very simplified omni-channel example, just so we understand kind of what that means and where it can all go from. So this is John, and he's going to ZenDesk Outfitters, the very fashion-forward brand that it is. And he's looking for his same shirt that he wants to buy. And he's looking through the site on his mobile, and he doesn't see the color that he wants. And so he goes to the, sorry, he doesn't, this is shipping, not the color. Color's next. So he doesn't know what the shipping is. How fast can he get his shirt? So he goes to the help center from within the app, and he sees that shipping is X amount of time, and he's got the answer he needs. So he goes back, but he realizes now he doesn't have the color that he wants. So he asks in the chat tool, from within the same experience as well, do you have the color that I want to buy as well? They say, unfortunately not. So he ends up just placing the order anyway, getting his blue shirt, and the order is done. He realizes that he's given the wrong delivery address. So he gets on the phone and he calls ZenDesk. And this is now from an omni-channel perspective from the agent side. They call in, the phone number comes in, the ZenDesk Outfitters, and straight away you see all interactions that John Smith has had with you. Because you have his phone number in his system, you see how much he's ordered, what his lifetime value is to you. This can even populate into some other apps as well and show you what's going on there. So when the phone call comes in, he doesn't have to say, my order number is, I contacted you on, I set this through, because this is all linked back to one place. He then receives his order and he tweets and says, awesome customer service, so glad I got my parcel. Thank you very much. That's then recorded as well, and we see that he's now someone who just promoted us. And you have that information against their profile in their ZenDesk customer record as well. So technology, as has been mentioned before me this morning, is so important, but also just make sure that, again, you have the analytics, and also that you're not ruled by your technology. And for someone working in technology, that may sound like the wrong thing to say, but it's true. I don't like people saying, oh, I'm interested in chat, I'll buy a few of those, or I want to try this, I'll buy some. I'm like, no, I'm not going to sell you something you don't want to use yet, or you're not sure you want to use yet. Of course, it's about a complicated relationship, and we're dealing with those all the time as well. So from a technology perspective, making sure you have the right tools, data management, and the infrastructure to handle it as well. So also having analytics as best practices. What are you looking at? What customer information analysis tools are you using? And using those things to really be in the right place. Don't just have technology because someone says you should have technology. And make sure you're gathering feedback on a very regular basis, not on a constant basis. So we have an NPS tool in ZenDesk, and there was one customer in Vietnam that did an NPS survey for every delivery they ever made to every customer. So after every single order was received, NPS, NPS, NPS. And it was a marketplace, so people would be ordering on a regular basis all the time. Now, from a cultural perspective, they weren't using it as NPS. So they were using NPS to work for them because they felt that in Vietnam, good satisfied, bad unsatisfied interaction doesn't translate very well. And they'd rather give a scale of 1 to 10. So they weren't using it to get an NPS score, they were just getting it to do a 1 to 10. How did you feel that went? And so that's where it worked better for them. From a data management perspective, how are you collecting all this data? If you are allowing them to interact with you, make sure you're then using that data against their profile to then use the way they're managed by your system. So if they just recently rated you as a 1 in the NPS survey that you sent them, you might want to make it so that when they contact you next, they're immediately put to a higher tier of agent if they ever need to reach out to you again. Or if you do have a chat solution, you might want to turn on chat for that customer in a specific scenario so that they actually have the ability to have a live chat with you and have direct interaction, but make sure they know that's because they're now a valued customer and you need to take care of them. And it's about turning them around. But it's also about those that do rate you a 10, looking after the people that are good to you as well and using that data to, of course, drive change and back to things there. I've covered these things, so making sure that it's something that can scalable across your network, that it's something that is availability and reliable as well. Just turning something on but not actually having people to support it. And always going to chat and being told you have a 25-minute wait to talk to someone, that's not great either, because chat is supposed to be fast. Chat is there to replace the fact that you wait in line for a phone call. So going to chat and being told you're 25th in the queue isn't a great experience. So make sure that when you're turning it on with the right setup and the right support. And you can do that slowly. So only 23% of professionals feel that they are supported by their current technology. Do you agree with that? Do people feel that the technology they're doing is more of a hindrance to what they're using in their experience? I hope none of my customers raise their hands now. And we feel that, what we need is a foundation of technology that is sophisticated enough but not too complicated. The reason ZenDesk exists is because our founders used to implement customer service, I'll say this, like with customer service technology in the 90s and the early 2000s, and they were fed up with implementing really ugly platforms that the end users had never seen, and the CEO said, I like it because it cost him the right amount of money and it gave him the right analytics. But then as soon as you actually start using it, your people don't like using it. But it also should be something that's easy to use and flexible, and it should be something that can grow as your team grows as well and as it changes. So people, as I said at the beginning, I do need to speed up a little bit. People are often the most forgotten about part of a customer service organization, but they are also your frontliners. And I know we can all preach about how important they are, but until you have been frontline, you don't understand how laborious that job can really be. Have many of you in this room started in customer service? Were any of you customer service reps before? Yeah, and now you're running customer service teams. We must never forget where we came from. And remember that that is a hell of a job. And that there's something that we really need to make sure you're looking after. Don't just throw them at the system and go ahead, talk to my customers, thank you very much, walk away. You know, we do have to remember as well that people are actually part of the most expensive part of that organization. So they're expensive for the right reason. You know, we've got to work with them. We've got to build the right team, have the right culture, invest in that team, and learn from them as well. When they tell you something doesn't work, or you're always being given inquiries about a specific thing, and they don't feel supported on it, make sure that we're learning from that and changing the way we use their system and making the system work for them. So building the right team, I don't necessarily agree with do they match the culture. It's more about can they help drive culture of the team. Don't just hire clones. You don't want a ton of okay customer service people who all get on well as friends. You should have friends in the organization that work well together, but you should also have people that drive different experiences in there as well. Customer service as an agent can feel very singular, but having another customer service agent you can work with and learn from as well can also help drive a lot of culture in the organization as well. And also, do you want someone who wants to be a career customer service agent? I know I've worked in organizations where someone's been a customer service agent for 12 years, and that suits them, that's fine, and some people want to do that. But it is also good to have people who want to be you in the future, who want to be your customer service leader, because then that means they'll have a different way of dealing with their customers because they'll start thinking bigger picture. Also, building the right culture, one team, having people set up so they don't fail, making sure you have the things to support them. That's the bowling lanes. About the cathedral, this is the idea that there's a story of a guy that went over to people laying some bricks, and someone said, you know, what are you doing? And he said, I'm laying bricks. And he said, the next person said, oh, I'm building a wall. And the next person said, I'm building a cathedral. But they were all doing the same job. The guy who's building a cathedral gets the bigger picture. But as you go down, it's about having people that understand that bigger picture. So someone who would rather be building a cathedral than laying bricks, that's someone who you want to have in your organization as well. Having someone come in, and I've touched on this, about giving them their career path, understanding that when you join as a customer service agent, it's generally an entry into an organization. It's where you start and it's where you want to grow from. So showing people that, you know, we've got stories of people who joined as a customer service agent and now they're running product for us. So they actually build out the technology processes around our product. Those are things that we need to make sure we're looking after as well for our companies and our teams. So we do customer satisfaction scores to our customers all the time. But do you ever run an agent satisfaction program? That's actually something that we do internally at ZenDesk as well. So it's always, would you recommend working with ZenDesk? And they get grilled on a quarterly basis. And we keep track of what is their satisfaction. So we run ASAT as well as CSAT. And we do surveys internally as well to make sure that the agents are also getting the development they need and they're happy where they're working. And then showing them back the data that we have collated of their experience and using it that way. So it's not just about using technology and data and customer information for your external customers, it's also for your external agents, internal agents as well. So to address that, we have a bunch of products that, of course, as I said, help with our customers improve communication and offer support where it's needed the most. These are the products that we have. It's in our suite. Some of them are coming very soon. The first 4 are all available now. Message launched last month. So Message is our Facebook Messenger, Twitter, and Line for Thailand integration to become a kind of ticketing solution for us as well. So I'll just go over a quick few use cases from our region. Agoda, who I'm sure most of you have booked a hotel with, are a great customer of ours, been using us for a few years, all internal use cases, or dealing with their account management of their hotels directly. So they use us in the task management use case. Andrew has been our champion internally for a few years and has helped build out how we are across the entire organization. So ZenDesk isn't always for what everyone believes to be the traditional external customer service. I've put Cotton On here as well. We're all familiar with the brand. They again don't use us in the purely traditional sense. They've set up multiple help centers so that it makes the offline experience feel like an online experience. So if you buy something from Cotton On, you go home and find you've got a hole in it, and then you Google, how do I return? What's the returns policy? You'll end up on their help center, you'll say where you bought it, you'll send a ticket in, that ticket gets assigned back to a person who works in the store that you purchased it from. So you then get a response from Max, who's the manager of the Cotton On store in Orchard, and they reply to you and tell you to come in and we'll replace that for you. Then when you go into the store, you look for Max and you meet him in person. That's a great customer experience and kind of loops it around, keeps it online, allows people, appeals to Googling, but those people who still want to go in store, they still get that experience. Luke, who implemented that, wrote this quote before he started working at ZenDesk about 6 months ago. So he now works for us, hopefully replicating that sort of implementation with lots of other customers. You can also go online and look at your CX scorecard with us, cx.report.com. This will allow you to look at what we think your customer experience score is right now based on different elements that you'll put in and questions you'll ask, and then you get a nice PDF printout at the end of it. Again, we're across so many different organizations and so many different use cases. Here's just a few of them. I'm Tom, I work for ZenDesk, and you can visit us outside. Thank you for listening to me today.